Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking into Aves birds. And not just, the usual natural history, we want to explore their really profound, sometimes pretty surprising role in human civilization. Everything from evolution right up to ancient politics. Okay, so let's maybe start way back, deep past. We know modern birds are basically living dinosaurs, right?
Yeah,
Feathered theropods that made it.
that's right. They're a direct lineage.
But what gets me is how fast some changes happen. Their ancestors. Long, bony tails. Today's birds, they have the pygo style. This tiny fused bone at the end. That seems like a huge jump, morphologically speaking. Not the slow crawl I usually picture for evolution.
Yeah, that's a really key point. And the evidence, it's leaning more and more towards evolution happening in bursts sometimes. Major changes don't always need millions of years.
So how did that tail shrink so fast?
Well, genetic research looking into this sudden, short, fused tail points towards maybe a small number of mutations, things happening in really key regulatory pathways like Notch and Wnt.
The developmental controllers.
Exactly. Those pathways manage the timing of how things develop. So by tweaking that timing, evolution could, relatively speaking, quickly shorten and fuse that whole tail structure. It shows these big shifts can happen fast, driven by just a few genetic switches.
Okay, speaking of big shifts, let's jump to now. Species count. For ages, everyone kind of agreed, right? 9, maybe 10,000 bird species globally, based on the biological species concept?
Right, the BSC, that was the standard, but that number, it's basically doubled.
Doubled.
Yeah, recent work using the phylogenetic species concept suggests we're looking at closer to 18,000 distinct evolutionary lineages.
18,000. So what changed? Just how we define species.
It's more fundamental than just definitions, really. The PSC helps us identify what you might call hidden diversity, populations that maybe to our eyes look pretty similar, but they have genuinely distinct evolutionary histories. They've been separate for a long time.
And the conservation angle on that must be huge.
Oh, absolutely massive.
Right.
Think about it. If the real number is 18,000, but all our conservation efforts, funding, park boundaries, you name it, were set up thinking there were only 9,000.
We're way off target.
Fundamentally misdirected. We could be losing species we didn't even properly recognize existed yet. It's a serious problem.
This modern underestimation kind of makes me think about ancient times. If we're struggling now, how did ancient civilizations view birds, especially when they put them right at the center of belief systems?
Well, take ancient Egypt. They revered the Bennu bird, that's the gray heron. It was linked to the sun, rebirth. It was basically the prototype for the Greek phoenix myth.
Okay, so deep reverence.
Deep reverence, yes, but alongside a brutal reality. Scientists have done isotopy analysis on literally millions of mummified ibis and raptors. These were offerings for gods like Thoth and Horus.
Millions? How did they supply that many? Farming them.
That's what you might think, right? But the isotopes tell a different story. It wasn't sustainable farming. It was relentless mass hunting of wild birds. Their very deification drove this huge, unsustainable ecological pressure.
Wow. So reverence and destruction, side by side.
Okay.
Shifting gears a bit, what about birds influencing the state itself? Like Roman governance? I know they had ornithomancy.
Augury, yes. The augurs were priests, incredibly powerful ones. Their job was interpreting bird behavior, flight patterns, calls, you name it.
And this was serious business.
Absolutely critical. Before launching a war, before any major civic decision, the augurs had to check the birds. They could essentially give a green light or halt everything based on whether the omens from the birds were favorable or not.
It's kind of mind-blowing, the fate of Rome hanging on, a flock of birds flying by.
It really did in a formal religious sense, and we still have the echo of that today. Think about the word inauguration.
Inauguration? Wait, from augury?
Directly. It comes from the Latin inauguratio. It literally means to take omens from birds in flight. That bird watching was the bedrock of confirming political legitimacy back then.
Okay, so birds as gods, birds as political guides. What about birds as, teachers? I'm thinking of that story in the Quran.
Ah, yes, Surah 5. It's right after the very first human murder, Qabil, or Cain, killing Abel. And Qabil is lost, right? He doesn't know what to do with the body. It's the first death.
A completely new, shocking situation for humanity.
Exactly. Humanity hadn't figured out this fundamental ritual. So Allah sends a raven, and the raven starts digging a hole in the ground, showing how to bury the body. It's modeling this essential pious act.
So a bird teaches humanity a core ritual.
A divine lesson delivered by an animal, teaching reverence for the dead, and importantly, offering Qabil a path towards understanding and maybe repentance.
So wrapping this up, It's quite a picture, isn't it? Birds were gods, like Horus the falcon. They guided the Roman state through augury. They even taught humanity basic rituals, like the raven.
It's a profound contradiction, really. These creatures have this incredibly deep cultural status across civilizations, and biologically, they're vital. Keystone species, essential for everything from pollination to keeping tropical forests regenerating. Lose them, and entire ecosystems falter.
And yet, despite all this history, this deep importance, they're now facing global threats. Habitat loss, exploitation, all driven by us.
It's the central paradox.
So maybe the next time you see a bird, just, pause for a second. Remember you're looking at a tiny dinosaur that survived extinction, one whose ancestors literally held the fate of rum in their flight patterns and taught foundational lessons about being human. And maybe think about what we owe them now.